Rebbe says as long as he wasn't buried, hakavru, but if he was buried, istirelay. He becomes permissible even before dar. Is there anyone that says that her end is not like the bitter day, which it's unclear what it's talking about. Rashi says it's talking about the end of a prostitute is like a day of mourning. Tosfos doesn't seem to say that's what it's talking about. Whatever the case is, what it's referring to is that the finishing of the day of Aninas, everyone holds that the rest of the day is considered an Einan. So what does it mean that Rebbe says it's until the burial? He's talking about not the day of death. He's talking about the day of the burial was on a different day. So Rebbe says that after the burial it stops. Maskefla Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef asks to Rav Sheshes, Elahadik Tani Hashemei al Meisai. It goes back to the brisa that we taught, that we learned before. Someone that hears that a relative passed away, so that's considered like the day of bones were collected, but it's not like the day of burial. Why? Because the day of burial, that evening, you don't eat the korban. But someone that hears that a relative passed away, that evening you do eat the korban. It's only like collecting of the bones. This implies the that means that evening he also doesn't eat it if it's after the burial. So why are you saying that the day of the burial, that evening is allowed and it's over, all the aninus is over? Hamani, who would that price go like? That says that the day of burial, that evening it's allowed. Elataritz, rather, we would answer like this. Elataritz, rather answer like this. Ad masay masaynan alav. Until when is the aninus? Kolai sayayim v'leilai. It's that whole day and that evening. Rabbi Yomer, kolzman shlei nikvar. When is it that evening? That's if he wasn't buried yet. Aval nikvar. But if he was buried, b'lei leilai, then it stops before the evening. But no one holds that day it's permissible. So Amru Kamed Rabbi Yirmiyah. This answer of Rabbi Yosef that says that Rabbi holds that until evening, that's if he wasn't buried. Until evening is until evening would be if he was buried already. But that night would continue on if he was buried. If he wasn't buried, that night would be Aninas. So that answer was told to Rabbi Yirmiyah. And Rabbi Yirmiyah says, Gavar Rabbak Rabbi Yosef le'mahachi. Such a great person like Rabbi Yosef should give such an answer. It's changed a little bit here. L'meimer de Rabbi Lakula. This sounds like Rabbi is more lenient. The first opinion holds that you always have to count the evening. Rabbi holds that you don't always have to count the evening. But we taught in the Brisa that Rabbi is more strict. Until when is the Aninas Kozman Sheini Nikvar? As long as he wasn't buried. Rabbi holds when it says as long as he wasn't buried, that's as long as Aninas lasts. That doesn't mean that if he's buried that day, the Aninas stops that day. What it means is that if he wasn't buried for 10 days, the Aninas continues for 10 days. Rabbi is more strict. Rabbi says Aninas extends for many days. The Chacham say that Aninas is only for that day. So therefore, we said before. So how are we going to explain the brisa? This is what the brisa means. Until when is Aninas kolay sayem b'lei leilai? It's that whole day without the evening. Rabbi Yomer kolzman shlei nikvar. That's only if he wasn't buried. Toifes leilai. You have to skip 2 words. Then if he wasn't buried, then it continues into that evening. Okay, so what are we left with here? We're trying to say who were the opinions that Rav Chizda said that evening you can eat kachim on the day of the burial. So Tanakama holds that that evening you're allowed to eat the kachim, and Rebbe holds that evening you're not allowed to eat the kachim. And that would be when Rav Chisda said before that there's a machlekes about this. That would be the Rebbe and the Chachamim. Let's go a drop further. Let's see. Amra Kamei de Rava. This teaching was said in front of Rava. Mida Kamar Rebbe Yom Kippur Teifes Leilai. Rava says to them, the fact that Rebbe says that the day of the burial, the night is included in the Aninos, it means that evening he's not allowed to eat Kachim, Midirabanan, rabbinically, Michlal. Why would the rabbis make a decree to continue the Aninos that night on the day of the burial? It must be the Yom Misa Teifes Leila Midiraisa, that if it's the actual day of death, then Aninos that night would be biblically. The rabbis extend it to the day of the burial, because the rabbis would only continue something that was biblically significant in an earlier case. So if it's biblically the day and the following night on the day of the death, the rabbis could extend it to the day of the burial, the day and the night. But does Rebbe hold that the day of the death it's biblically aninas that night? But it says in the Braisa, Hein Hayayim. Okay. This is talking about when Aaron did not eat the sacrifice of the goat. There was a sin offering goat that was brought because of Rosh Chodesh. Aaron didn't eat it, and he said, "Behold, today, ani hayayim aser v'layla muter. Today, it's forbidden, and the evening is permissible. Uladairas, and for future generations, bein bayayim bein balayla aser divrei Rabbi Yehuda. In the future generations, it's going to be forbidden by day and by night. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yomer, aninas layla eina midivrei Torah midivrei Seifim. Rebbe's opinion is that it's never biblically forbidden at night. There's no such thing as a biblically that if the person passed away by day, that the anina should continue into the night. It's never biblically like that. The question is, why does Rebbe hold that it's rabbinically forbidden even on the day of the burial, if even on the day of the death it wasn't biblically forbidden? So the Gemara answers, Li'aylam derabanani. Really, it's true that it's only derabanan on the day of the death. However, the rabbis made a stringency even more than what was biblically forbidden. Okay, that means that they made it forbidden even on the day of even on the night after the burial, which that wasn't even forbidden on the night after the death. It wasn't even forbidden. The rabbis are allowed to add an extra stringency. Okay. We're falling behind. The next page is a little bit easier, so hopefully we'll be able to catch up tomorrow. We're a full day behind. Okay.
So about Pesach Sheni, he said what comes first